That was weird.
Hey, bud.
Hey, Candace, how was your trip?
It was great, thank you. I'm sorry I missed the meeting, but it was lovely.
We got through it. I misinterpreted the hybrid invitation and I'm sitting here at work going, oh, I could have been there. And now I just finished with my patient and I'm like, I guess I'm staying here. All right, link try now. So because I'm at work, I was hoping to get on my work computer so I could look at my town computer to read stuff. So let's see if I
Hold on,
can.
can I send you the like the packet of info right now?
Yeah, can you send it at my Hotmail account?
Yep. Let's see.
So it's Laurel Gorville at hotmail.com, and now the whole world knows that. My name, all one word.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Oh, I can hear you, Cindy, because you're on the phone.
Okay, so you already in for me?
I'm in, but it's just Candace and Laurel and I.
All right, Laurel, that should be coming through.
Right, but are we?
All right, let's see what
Also,
happens.
it's 2023. Please get rid of that Hotmail account. Thank you.
No, it's working fine for me.
It's
I have
time.
4 other accounts. I have plenty of other accounts.
Cindy, let me
Not to
hang
worry.
out with you.
There we go. Got it.
Use the Outlook one, not the Zoom one, not the agenda one. Okay, I'll see you there. Okay.
Bye.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you guys can hear me. Great. All right.
Okay.
I don't
So
know
I'm
I don't know what's
gonna
going on. We reached out to Sherry. She'll fix it for us. She sent us a link. So she's the one that sets up all the Zoom links for all the meetings.
Oh, now Elaine's having a difficult time. All right, so let's do this. Let's look.
I just went right in through our, like, if she logs into her email account, like the Outlook link.
I know,
Yeah,
but she may not.
So we
All
just
right.
found out the Outlook invite has a Zoom link. The agenda has another Zoom link, and those two
Right.
don't match. So
Right.
the one in the Outlook works.
So let's do this. And so I can
Oh wait,
never do it.
Tiana got in.
Hey, Tiana.
So,
Oh,
so what we could do is send the other ID link to Elaine. Yeah, it's not at all. So how do I do this? Oh, I know how I do this. I take a picture of it. And then
thank
I
you for joining us.
forward it.
We're dealing with some technical difficulties.
I'm forwarding it to Elaine. This is stupid. Elaine. We'll see if she gets it. Okay, so the meeting ID, I was just looking
I
at
think
it.
Melissa was also looking to join. I'm going to forward her the link as well.
Yeah,
Two.
so it's I can only do something on something as small as a phone. I'm not as nimble.
Hold on, I got the ID. I'll send it.
Okay. I want to start meeting in the office. It's ridiculous.
We're working on it. They're retrofitting the public safety building to do it.
Oh. All right, let me see something. All right, I don't have a good phone stand. Let's see.
Oh, here she is.
There she is. Okay, Cindy and Elaine are in now.
I may turn my screen off eventually because my arm's gonna get tired.
Sorry, it wouldn't let me in, but now it did. It kept flashing. I felt like that
Alright.
happened to me today on a meeting too. The same thing. One of the girls had her thing and it kept going.
And, is Melissa here to join you, Tiana? Is that right? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome to the Board of Health meeting.
Thank you.
I don't think we're expecting anyone else tonight.
So let's get going. It's 6:04 PM, April 19th. This is the Board of Health meeting. Let's call this meeting to order. Again, looks like we don't have anybody on, well, Tiana, you're not officially public participation, right? They're an agenda.
No, but I think Melissa is.
Melissa's public. Okay, all right. But
Yeah,
Melissa's planning to.
Yeah, can I talk during public participation?
Yes, why don't we go? Yeah, go right ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, I just wanted to discuss,
Pardon me, Melissa,
Please.
for my benefit, could you just introduce yourself, please, and let us know where you're from?
yeah, I'm Melissa Houston. I'm the chair of the Wakefield Environmental Sustainability Committee. And I've been
Thank you.
working with Aaron Kokinda on the compliance to our plastics and styrofoam bylaws in town with businesses. And I was told that the health inspectors will now be covering the compliance during their inspections at businesses for these bylaws. And so I wanted to kind of understand if that's happening or not, as well as if there's a process in place when giving health permits to new businesses, if you could also take into account bylaw compliance, because we had a new business in town that opened and was not compliant with the bylaws. And it would have been great if they had, been checked before opening in regards to those.
Oh, interesting.
Anthony,
Okay.
are you able to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Melissa, thank you for coming on to speak about this. So I've been working with Aaron to make sure that we that we try and help out with the Environmental Sustainability Committee's goal to enforce the bylaw for styrofoam use. This was admittedly kind of like a tricky thing for us to deal with first, because we were trying to figure out how do we reach all the businesses, because our involvement historically has been with a lot of food businesses. So Aaron and I were trying to figure out that piece, and then we also kind of ran up against the equity piece in terms of having translated materials. So a lot of our businesses, we have a lot of businesses here that English may not be their first language, the business owners. So we wanted to get accurately translated materials, in an easy way to understand kind of how we want to do it. We also were kind of going back and forth recently about, from a sustainability standpoint, should we be printing out the packets to give to these folks, or if we should be kind of directing them to a link or a QR code, just trying to figure that piece out. I think one of the things that we're running into is, we have no finding mechanism when it comes to food establishments. We really take like an education first approach. So we're more than happy to provide the information to the businesses, about what the bylaws are. But when it comes to enforcement, we were hoping to kind of, use education first as a first round tool. And then if there's still not compliance, then we would hope to kind of find out the reasoning behind it. So, that all that being said, we're very close to rolling out kind of like a program where we can have translated materials, in the routine inspections with all these establishments. It's something that we'll check for.
Okay, so you're not currently checking during your inspections about compliance?
We're not actively looking for it. If we do come across it, if it's just there, they have styrofoam containers very obviously out, then we'll say to them that, we have a town bylaw with a styrofoam ban. But generally speaking, we're not actively looking for it right now.
But you're planning to?
Yes, correct. So
Okay.
we're gonna hopefully have all these translated materials ready to go. It'll most likely take the form of some sort of link or something, and we'll provide that information to them.
Okay, and then in regards to health permits, is it possible to add, some information about these bylaws, or, making sure that they're compliant with them before providing a permit?
Sure, yeah, we can definitely
Yeah.
reach out to the business.
Time out, Anthony, time out. I think these are all great ideas. But just as a matter of process, this is public participation. I think we should be listening, and then we need to kind of look at our process and see if this is a regulation change, in which case we would have to re-articulate the regs a little bit in the permitting process. So this may be, we need to discuss it. I would suggest that we need to discuss as a board whether or not we need to change the reg and go through the usual process to do so. I really appreciate the feedback. I think that it's a blind spot in who does what, because it was not made clear to us that policing the bylaw goes under the health. Actually, I think it was intimated, but was not included, if I recall the language in town meeting, because I remember kind of going, oh, wait a minute, what is
That's
that?
correct. Mhm.
So we
It was
need,
not put under the inspectors as
Right.
Melrose had voted. It went in right away, but in Wakefield, it was not put into the health department with the inspectors doing it with their regular inspection. And you're right,
so
Laura.
we need to, as a board member, I think all of this is, really great feedback. I think it's pointing out a blind spot in, when we make a new bylaw, how is it operationalized? But I believe that we need to have another, that we need to review what the wording is on our inspection. So I believe our intent is to do the right thing, but I just want to make sure that, before we promise everything, we need to actually look at at our regs to see if we need to write an addendum.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just told that Steve Mayo kind of wanted the health inspectors to be the enforcers, so.
Well, that's good for, sorry, it's a public meeting. Good, that's great, but we are the board. So that's good. Language goes up and down from different directions. So as the board, I would suggest that we take a look and make sure that we're following the process and to make sure that we're absolutely clear on who's doing what and that the process makes sense.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for pointing that out. That's a great effort.
Thank you, Melissa. I do see one other person who's joined us. I'm not sure if you're here to listen or to participate. We're still in public participation.
I'm pretty sure that's Cindy's cell phone. I think
Oh,
she has some audio issues. I think she could dial in.
cool. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
nobody
me.
else? Hey, Cindy. Did you have anything you wanted to add? right.
Hey,
All right, so why don't we conclude public participation for tonight? We could talk about the minutes, get the minutes approved from the 15th of March. Any feedback on those minutes from anyone?
Yep, hold on. Spelling. Because it's not fair. So when there's a comment by me in the end about the Adderall shortage, or I would suggest we just write medication or stimulant shortage rather than brand name. So I would where it says ADRAL, I would cross that out and put in the word stimulant would be my, because it's more accurate and it also reflects the proper spelling.
Okay,
Do you see that? Whoever's looking at that? Okay.
I see that.
I misspell
Got it.
Adderall every day. I try to add a double R, so I'm paying attention.
Other than that, anything, Elaine, anything? Okay,
Good to me.
I would take a motion to approve the minutes with the suggested amendment.
I'll make a motion. Gorville,
I'll second the motion. Silva,
All in favor?
Gorville, aye.
Silva, aye.
Linehan, aye. Okay, and then Tiana, you're up.
Oh, there was something else before me about a public hearing. Did that move?
Did I miss?
Maybe
Oh,
I-
excuse me. I skipped right over that. Intentional or not. Yeah,
If
well,
we don't have anybody here to listen in on this,
I think we
I'm
can
o-
maybe go for
I'm
Tiana
okay.
and then she could be on her way. Yeah.
I would concur.
Okay. Yeah. So why don't you go ahead, Tiana?
Sure. Well, so thank you very much for having me on your agenda. In the Environmental Sustainability Committee, we've been talking about recycling and how important recycling is to our community and the climate, and keeping our town in good condition and all of that. And one thing that we've been trying to work towards over the past several months now, 4 or 5 months, is making recycling available to all residents. It had come to our attention through some of our public forums that not all residential buildings have recycling services, and particularly, so all buildings, all residences of 4 units or fewer have the town provided collection, right? Curbside collection of both trash and recycling. But buildings over of 5 units or higher have to provide trash and recycling services to their residents independently through a dumpster permit or private hauling. And at this point, it is not required that they provide recycling, just that they provide trash pickup. As a result of that, there are a large number of buildings and residents in town who don't have the opportunity to recycle in their residence. We've had complaints from some residents about that, and they said, what do we do? I bring my recycling to my friend's house, to my daughter's house, to to the people who have curbside collection. I spoke with Anthony a few weeks ago, and his team was able to get a hold of the dumpster permits, which dumpsters are also have a recycling dumpster. And I did some matching of that with the listing of apartment buildings and condo buildings and the size of them. And by my math, and this is a little rough because they didn't all match up exactly on the addresses of where the permits were, but from my calculation, there are at least 30 buildings in town of 5 units or higher, but some up to, the biggest I think on this particular list is 176 units, but several that are dozens of units or more that don't have a recycling dumpster. And that amounts to about 1,000 units, households or units of residents that don't have recycling services. Generally, we think that's not great. And I'm coming to you all because it turns out in Massachusetts, a number of towns and municipalities go about this through their Board of Health due to the trash hauler regulations and permitting that's already in place through boards of health and health departments in those towns. So the Mass DEP has regulations and templates of how they suggest going about those sorts of requirements. And you can either have it do it through something like a town bylaw that says recycling is mandatory, or through regulations from the Board of Health about how haulers are regulated and how dumpsters are regulated and permitted and such. So I wanted to bring it to you all to see if you would consider taking that approach through your board to make that a requirement, and to see what we could do about it to get these 1,000 household units able to recycle in their homes. Happy to provide some more information or answer questions, but that's where we're at.
So just to follow up, Tiana came in and gave her and I a pretty good presentation, on what they're looking to do, how to increase recycling. We talked a lot about different places in Wakefield, a couple of our larger places like Colonial Point, some of our larger housing places. It's definitely a great effort, and I think something that we talked about was there's always a balance of regulation versus what can we do as a town to also incentivize places to do this. So I think there's going to be some combination of these things together that will make it the most successful. And this is one of those things that I did float by Aaron Kokinda at one point, and I said, we would like to see this happen. Maybe we can solve 2 issues here at once. We can provide some incentive, but also encourage the recycling, and maybe places with 5 or more units might get some sort of rebate. Some sort of idea of a program to help get them on the right track first, and then, then reinforce that habit with some regulation. So that's kind of what we talked about. I also floated this by Ann Waite at one point, and hopefully we can talk about it. So.
One other thing to add is that in Massachusetts, there is actually a waste ban. You probably know this already, but there's already a waste ban on certain materials going into the trash, and recyclables, cans, bottles, glass, etc., cardboard and paper are on that list as, so the recent things added to that list are like textiles and mattresses, but for a while it's been recyclables also, and that waste ban is hard to enforce because by the time a truck gets to the place where it dumps out all of its contents, it's hard to trace that back to which of the many buildings it saw that on that route. So the enforcement at the hauler level from the Mass DEP and the dumping sites is not very good. So if there's stuff that we can do at the town level and at the residence level, we thought that could help as well. But I agree with Anthony, like more education is definitely important. I think there's a gap right now in what these buildings are doing for their residents.
Are any of these buildings that aren't offering recycling for residents the newer buildings, like the newer construction, or does it seem like they're older?
That's a great question. I don't have. I didn't sort of flag that thoroughly in the list that I was looking at. I would say it skews to the older buildings that aren't doing recycling, but I'm certainly aware of some newer ones. The two on North Ave next to the Subaru dealership, they don't.
Oh. That's
I
not that surprising.
Mhm.
So
I can certainly follow up with some more details on, sort of which of the buildings, at least from my research, don't have that, and whether they're newer or older.
Your research, can I ask you, Tiana, did you find that a lot of maybe condo buildings were having trouble because of, I ran into this, I owned property out of the state, and this is what happened to us, was because it's a condo, so everybody puts all their trash into one dumpster. So therefore, they would have to have one type of a dumpster type to put all their recyclables in. Did you see anything written about that, in regards to size? I know I've heard people here and even Massachusetts that are building managers have talked about that, how difficult it is because they have so much space for a dumpster that they need, and then they have to make room for another type of dumpster for just recyclables.
Sure. I didn't get into that level of spending time at the actual place where the dumpster lives. This is mostly from the info from Anthony and Aaron from their database that I've been looking at. But I have certainly heard that as a concern, and as a reason why places don't, is that they don't have space. Although one would assume that given that all of that volume of stuff is currently going into that one dumpster, presumably two smaller dumpsters split between recycling and trash could perhaps cover that same amount of volume. There's also a bunch of resources through the Mass DEP and I think it's Recycling Works MA is a recycling promotion organization that's very interested in helping buildings and businesses and schools and whatever else solve exactly those kinds of problems. So, to what Anthony was saying, that might be partly an educational approach of letting some of these buildings know, hey, there's a waste ban, you should be recycling. Here's some resources that can help. But I suspect that a simple, suggestion of that sort might not go very far.
I was thinking some of the newer construction, I wonder in some of their agreements, do they have to make a commitment to sustainability? when they proposed the construction to the town? And is there any language in there that maybe might have been overlooked, but does any language exist for the newer constructions about, you know, having recycling available?
I'm not aware of any language that requires them to do anything particularly sustainable at this point. And that is another avenue we could take, is trying to get some language into sort of the building permitting process
Going forward.
going forward. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's beginning to sound like, you know, this is the beauty of, you know, really focused attention. And also, just as an aside, isn't this refreshing? We're talking about regulations again and not vaccines. It's like, oh God, it's the old days. I gotta brush up my regulation skills. So we have, you know, so now we need to pull out. So now sustainability has brought us two issues. One is really on site visits for restaurants and styrofoam. So, you know, I think it's not too difficult to build that in. And it would be helpful to build that in. And on this one, I feel like we need to maybe talk to our colleagues in planning, because they approve new building, and DPW, just to see if there's any partnership. Now, by definition, as you have so well pointed out, anything that's 5 units or bigger is no longer the purview of the DPW, but we should certainly be at least including the directors in regards to, you know, resources that we're using and what's the incentivizing. I would think that we need to do a full core education press, but I kind of feel like we need to build it into our hauling regs. So here we go. Because of the state mandate with the waste ban. Like, you know, we're not in compliance with the state mandate. I'm thinking, if we don't include this, I don't believe the mandate, you know, has a variance for these kind of living dwellings, because, you know, that would really exclude. And I agree with you, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing if you do a 3-part, if you do a food waste alone, that takes out bulk, not to mention other, but that's probably asking a lot. But, you know, we
The
can always.
food waste ban, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
The food waste ban as of right now is depends on the volume of waste that the facility generates. And it's, I don't have the exact numbers in my mind, but so there's a certain level that are
Threshold.
required, a certain threshold right now, and that threshold is going to go down over some number of years.
Don't need to be ready.
So right now, it basically only applies, one second, honey, to big build, you know, like university campuses and maybe grocery stores.
I ate lots of peas.
You ate lots of peas. Great
So
job.
can I have candy?
You can have a piece of candy. Yeah. The health department just heard me tell my kid that you can have candy because he ate peas. You can have a medium-sized piece of candy, but show it to Mima first, please. Or Daddy. Daddy will be home in just 3 minutes. He ate the peas. That's something.
No, I think you're winning. You're 100%.
You're winning. Yeah,
Full
we're there.
support.
All the nurses in the room are supporting you.
Okay.
Um,
He ate the tortellini right away. The peas were
awesome.
So the food waste ban threshold right now is set pretty darn high. I don't even know if any businesses in Wakefield are at that threshold. Maybe the high school or maybe the Shaws, but then it's going to ratchet down over time so that eventually, you know, a decent sized restaurant will be included. But as of right now, I don't think that's impacting very many. I certainly know farmland already composts. So.
Oh, do they? Good. All right. Awesome. Check for
Yeah, we'll get to helping enforce composting food waste ban down the road.
We will depend on you keeping us.
Right now, we're trying to get more households signed up because once we hit 500 households, the price goes down.
I know.
We've been at 400-ish for a year.
Yeah, I know. I do it. Anybody else? I just feel like, that, Anthony, unfortunately, that, well, I need to look at the haulers regs again. They're never
I
ending.
feel like we just did this long.
I know, I don't think we looked at haulers for a while. Have we?
Well, I feel like we may have reviewed it because we did like a sweep of all the regulations, so it's starting to sound familiar.
I know. Well, what do you board members think? I just sort of feel like I think we need to, be sure, just like, and we're gonna do tobacco again, that we keep, we just have to align ourselves with state regs. So I currently believe that we're not aligned with the Massachusetts waste ban. And I think, when we talk about, whereas there is a, like when we start with our statement of purpose on any of our regs, whereas Massachusetts now has a waste ban, it isn't, blah, blah, blah. It is time to include some kind of language, but, we would have to give people a grace period we would have to sort of figure out how, give people a year to figure this out. I don't know that, I suspect I don't know how I think enforcing is different than at least being consistent with our language with what the state is dictating. I think it is important that we always kind of screen changes so that we're up to date. That's my thought.
Yeah, I think, the state regs are always a great place to start, right? Because we can stand with that, and it's pretty hard to dispute, not being in line with the state regs. And I think we could look at what we're doing now and think about what we want to do going forward. There is a lot of new construction, and I think folks are, sustainability, and it's it's high on folks' priority list, especially if they want folks to move into these places. People want to live in a place that has recycling available. People want to live in a place that has, if you want to get wild, like composting available. And so I think, I think it is something we can look more at, but we could start kind of with what we have now, like Laurel mentioned, looking at the regs now, and kind of go forward from there.
Okay.
Would it be helpful for me to send along links to the Mass DEP materials and that Mass Recycling Works org that I mentioned?
Yeah, especially if like property managers are reaching out, we can have that on hand, ready to go. Like, yeah, you want some help, you want some guidance, like these are the lists of folks that can support you doing that.
And then populate those resources with, one should really look at their own websites. So every so often you look at your own and you go, oh, this isn't up to date. So I think, the more we can implement resources beside our whatever applications that need to be done, and it may be too that we put out, so we'll miss, I don't know that we can get a notice. Is our dumpsters on the fiscal year, or are they on January for inspections, for application, for permits?
Dumpsters, I believe dumpsters are fiscal year. Cindy, correct me if I'm wrong, it's fiscal year.
Yes.
Yep. We're changing everything else to
No,
calendar year,
No,
but
yeah, December 30 dates expire.
oh, sorry. So calendar year they expire. Okay.
But that gives us plenty of time then to have an amended. By then, I'm sure we'll have amended the reg. And then to everyone who's renewing, inform them, this is a new reg, get ready. I think, would be the way to make sure we're following some kind of process that gives us a hope of better compliance.
maybe also useful to remind folks, like about our local options for textile recycling. There's one large thing that can be removed, you know, from trash. And also to kind of put this out there, like, you know, maybe the idea is that we want to have like a large dumpster for 75% of the refuse, and 75 is going to be recycle, and that 25 is going to be trash, you know. So ideally, like, we're going to move away from a large dumpster for trash and towards a large dumpster for recyclables.
If they get recycled.
Yeah, part of it also, I still think people don't know what to recycle. I think it's tough because every town has different capabilities, and I know there's some great resources out there, but it's still not, you know, it's not clear, I think, to the regular person what can and cannot be recycled.
Yeah, and we found some great resources on that also. And we had a presentation a couple months ago by the sustainability director at Republic Services, the DPW's waste hauler, all about what is and isn't recycling. And we have a video recording of that WCAT made for us. So happy to share those around. The ESC tries to do as much community education as we can and get that stuff out there, but our platforms are, you know, email and Facebook and people who come to our table at recycling events. So if y'all have additional, you know, ways of communicating out to folks, happy to continue to supply you with resources. Anytime you have you know, people don't know what to recycle, we've got great resources and can certainly feed those to you anytime you need them. Happy to be a resource for that.
Are you
You know,
guys planning Festival by the Lake to have a space?
Is Melissa still listening?
It looks like
Melissa,
Yeah,
will we be at Festival by the Lake?
we probably will.
cool.
I think we'll be at least a couple of the farmers market Saturdays also.
Yeah, I mean, it's hopeful recycling where people keep stamping black things and it's like, yeah, we can't actually recycle that stuff, though I'm not quite sure why. But so that's a problem is, and just, you know, we need to push back on industry and say, knock it off, stop using this stuff. But you know, slow upward battle.
Yeah.
Really appreciate all the work you guys have done. You've put it in a nice digestible format. End of a bit. So I guess we're looking at the regs again.
I'll send over some links. I don't know who do I email that to? Candace?
No, definitely Anthony.
Anthony, I'll send a short set of links to Anthony and he can send it to
And
the
me.
rest of
I'm
you.
happy to look at it.
No,
I'm
it's
happy to look
okay.
at them.
I heard you the first time.
I'll send over some links for y'all to take a look at for some of those resources, and feel free to be in touch if there's, you know, more info I can supply. I don't know, do you want some more details on the research I did on like which buildings I think don't have recycling currently? Would that be useful for you to know?
Any additional information you can provide.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll send over some info. Happy to hop on another one of these sessions if it's a topic of discussion. I'm really appreciate y'all looking at it. This is certainly going to be a team effort of getting anything to happen here. And since the ESC is more advisory and educational, we don't have a whole lot of teeth. So, you know, we certainly appreciate getting to use yours.
Like you're almost a subcommittee, and I think we forget how broad the reach of a health department and a board can be, and DEP is under our purview. And I don't think that the public always recognizes that. It's also the purview. I mean, DEP has to do with public safety and fire for sure, and DPW, but we get a piece of it. And I think, you know, if you're talking about the boards that have a duty and some power to make some rules, that would be that's our purview.
Yeah, it was striking in looking at the examples from the Mass DEP's website of other towns that have done this. A large bunch of them were through boards of health or health departments. Like that was, I had expected it to be through DPWs or such organizations. I was actually surprised to see how much of it was through boards of health. So that was a good indication that we should.
You would like to do what Steve Mayo made me do 15 years ago and sent me to the CMR regs on what how health departments like are are manufactured, you'll find out that it's just a fascinating part of law. You have fun. Maybe, maybe you would like to be an elected official someday.
We'll see. Thanks.
Thank you
Really
very much.
appreciate it.
Jen,
Really
I
appreciate you
appreciate it.
having me on.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right.
All right, so
Tobacco?
before we keep going, don't want to be a bit of a party pooper, but I think we may not be able to continue the meeting because so the original link that was sent out by Sherry in the agenda
Didn't work.
wasn't the one in the Outlook calendar. I didn't want to cut Diana off, but I think we may run into a little bit of an open meeting issue if since we had sent out that agenda item, that link wasn't the same as the Outlook one. So anything we discuss from now on probably won't be able to be accepted. So
Who's beeping?
I think it might be Cindy. I saw Cindy's thing beeping, but yeah. So I don't know. I think the link that was sent out on the agenda just didn't match the Outlook link for some reason. So I don't know.
How did Melissa and Tiana get on?
I think it's because they were on the original invite as agenda items. I think that's how they got on, because they got the original invite, but I don't know if the public would have gotten that. So.
All right.
Interesting. Did any of you get an invitation?
Cindy, can you mute your phone? There's a little bit of an echo. There we go. Say one more time, Laura, I can hear you.
I'm just wondering, for some reason, I got an invitation to a planning board meeting. And so I wonder if there was a flip.
No, I think we all got that.
I know.
Right. But there could have been some sort of like.
We need to be aware about it. She's like, no, that was just an error. So I wonder if they were related.
It could have been, yeah. So we usually, what we do is we submit our agendas to Sherry, and then Sherry puts the link on it and then, gives it back to us, sends it out. So could have just been an oversight. So
Things happen.
Yeah.
Can we do the health director's report, do we think? Or should we just kind of?
I mean, I think generally we try not to discuss too much outside of open meeting with the three of you here. So yeah, I mean we can discuss a next meeting time.
Okay.
Good with it.
17, I think it is, May.
Do you guys want to do a makeup meeting because we sort of didn't get through the agenda, or do you want to just push it off until the next one?
We just had a special meeting 2 weeks ago.
We did, you're right. I'm happy to push it off to the next one.
We may have to have a June meeting though.
I mean, I don't know that there's a whole lot really urgent in the rest of the agenda. I think it was just the hearing for the tobacco thing, which won't make a difference until next month. So it's really up to you guys. We can have it ready and posted for next Thursday at the earliest, just because like the week out, sort of thing. So
What's next Thursday?
What do you suggest? You want us to have a makeup meeting Thursday?
I'm saying that's the earliest we could do it, and then or we could just wait until the next one, which is.
I feel like we could wait.
I agree.
I'm not
agree.
I'm not pushing for a makeup meeting.
I say go for the next one.
We seem to not be able to absolutely settle on a time.
Yeah.
So let me just, we went from 7 to 6 really for you, Anthony, right?
Yes.
Just keep, so that's nice. But if we're trying to meet in person, 6 o'clock is pretty difficult for both Candace and I, because we have to get from work.
Okay.
And like, as it was, I like finished my last patient and I was like, oh geez, so it's nice to get on Zoom. But if we ever go to person again, I think we agreed that we had to get to what time, Candace? 6:30 or 7?
6:30 would be probably the absolute earliest.
Yeah, I would go back to the 7 because 7
would be fine. 6:30 would be okay. I mean, my husband walks in the door at like 3 minutes.
I also think that the public is more attuned to 7 p.m. meetings.
Yeah.
To hop on as well.
Yeah.
That's what they're used to. I wonder if in our original website, I could look it up right now.
We did always, I think one of the reasons too why they wanted us to change was because there were too many of them at 7 o'clock. Do you remember when we
Yeah.
caused like a lot of
Oh, it was,
commotion?
But I also
Well,
think we
really-
typically don't have a lot of public on. I mean, of course, like, it's
No.
important to think about the public, but we're not really a heavily attended public.
No.
oh, believe me, we were ready to have last week. They told us that they packed the room.
Oh,
no,
well, that would have been fun.
that would have been a blast with me here.
Standing room only.
Lowell missed the Carol's Cafe one in person, so.
Candace
Yeah.
missed it.
Candace missed it. Laurel was on TV.
Oh, she was on TV.
I know.
She
I'm
was the
sorry.
backup.
I could have held my gavel.
Yeah, you could have.
Might have helped. It's okay though. Oh, just for announcements, National Medication Take Back Day. It's a Saturday.
Yep, it is.
We've been invited to the Wakefield Open Space and Recreation Plan Workshop on April 27th. So good that we're not meeting.
Does it seem like we want to do this meeting maybe on the third Wednesday of May? Like, go back to our scheduled?
Yep.
Yeah, third Wednesday of May works, and if
We're
we
gonna
wanna-
probably still be on Zoom then, right?
unless anything changes, maybe, but
I
I
mean,
can see Elaine's ready to kill someone.
Right.
But yes,
So unless Elaine kills someone,
yes.
It's just that I'm on 3 or 4 different national committees and everyone's looking at us like, why are you still on Zoom?
Yeah.
Why aren't you in person? The national, didn't you know what went out April 1st? And don't you know what goes out in May? I go, yes, I do, sir. I do.
Well, it's interesting because there was this huge public health board member who wanted to absolutely stay on Zoom and curious about people going back. So, we all have to tolerate a difference of opinion.
There is a petition going around statewide to not take mandated mask off in the dentist and in medical facilities and to keep Zoom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's going.
there's that. I just want to look at our,
I mean, I'm happy to go back to 7. That's not really an issue. I mean, I'm not commuting from Manchester anymore, so.
if we're gonna stay for Zoom at least next month, we could stay 6. If
Yeah.
everybody could do that.
And
I mean, just-
May is okay. Yep.
I just pulled up the fancy website and meetings when, third Wednesday of each month, please call to confirm, time 6 p.m. I would maybe, when we figure out what we're doing, add to meeting time, see Zoom link. And then, I don't know, I guess it's on the agendas. So, or see agenda for Zoom link might be a way for people to make sure that they could see us. The Zoom link that didn't work.
The Zoom
all.
link from the town website went on, but then blinked off. So I don't know if it had the right number or not. That's how I always go. I go to the town website when I come in.
The
Well,
town-
on the agenda, it was incorrect.
Yeah.
So that's the only way I know how to see it.
Yeah. I think the town website link, because it blinked off, I think it matches the agenda one, which is unfortunately incorrect. And the Outlook is the
Probably.
only one that works. So.
Okay. And the other thing is the Wake Up annual breakfast is soon.
May 15th, am I right?
That, like, it's in the morning, a Tuesday morning.
Tuesday, yeah.
So there's that. Let me see. No, that's not that. Okay.
Speaking of Tuesdays, I'll see you guys all next Tuesday, right? Well, not Andy.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thanks, man.
Mhm. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. It feels kind of nice not to have an opponent.
Yeah.
A very welcome change from the first time I did this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's I know, but I have to say, more and more, I appreciate that we're an elected board because I just feel like it strengthens our independence.
Mhm.
That's where I've evolved, as much as it's a pain in the neck hoop to go through.
Yeah.
It forces you to get out there and shake hands. All right, so shall I make a motion to adjourn the meeting until we see each other again? Because our link was weird.
Did we
And
feel
May-
like, did we agree on the 17th at 6 PM?
Yep, that's
Mhm.
fine with me.
Okay, anything else before we adjourn and then I'd take a motion?
I will be taking pictures and I'll try to record Anthony's speech when he speaks at MAPHN.
What?
Oh,
what's it-
yeah. That's May 5th, you're actually speaking, am I right? No,
May
the 4th.
4th, May
May
4th.
4th, yeah.
May the
Oh,
4th be with you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
uh-huh.
you. Yes.
Going to
I'll
take
read
his
it.
picture and record him. I get to introduce him. So they
That's
asked
awesome.
me, they said, would you like that job? I said, go right ahead.
It's gonna be the shortest introduction ever.
Yeah, it is. Here he is. Here's my replacement.
I spoke at Rotary last week. I had
Yeah.
a little lunch. It was nice. We talked about public health, and that was a nice warm up for this nurses
Oh,
conference.
Yeah.
good.
Mm, good.
That's
I hope
cool.
so. They're looking forward. He's speaking amongst a very, very nice group of speakers that day. So, and everyone's looking forward to meeting him.
All right.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm totally good with closing the meeting because we may not have done our Zoom meeting correctly.
All right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Silver eye.
Linda and I. All right, 6:51. Good to see
Awesome.
all of you, and we'll see you guys in a month.
And
right.
me.
See you
Thank you.
Tuesday.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye-bye.